China's Navy is adding aircraft carriers and learning quickly. But carriers are not just hulls and jets. They're living systems that demand decades of practice. The U.S. Navy's edge isn't only technology, it's experience. Safe flight deck choreography in rough seas, reliable launch and recovery, combat-ready air wings, global logistics, weathered command decisions, and a culture forged by repetition. China will improve, but time in the groove matters. This analysis explains why operating carriers well is as complex as building them, why integration across the fleet multiplies American power, and what the U.S. must protect to keep that advantage real. The U.S. Navy is a real aircraft carrier superpower for a reason. Shipyards can weld steel on schedule. They cannot compress the years it takes to turn a carrier into a rhythm. The United States learned that lesson across wars and peacetime deployments. From the coral seas of the Pacific in World War II to monsoon seasons off Vietnam, from freezing North Atlantic gales to sand-brown skies in the Persian Gulf. Each era added muscle memory. The choreography of people and machines on the flight deck, directing jets with wands, spotting aircraft, fueling and arming safely at speed, became instinct, not just procedure. China is building carriers and building routines, and that deserves respect. But the U.S. Navy's advantage is not nostalgia. It's a depth of repetition that smooths the rough edges when everything gets loud, fast, and real. The flight deck is a living organism. A carrier flight deck is often called the most dangerous 4 acres in the world, and not for effect. It is a living organism where tiny mistakes propagate quickly. One misread hand signal, one bad chalk placement, one leaky fuel hose, and the day comes apart. American crews survive that reality because they practice until the moves are natural. They cycle between day and night operations, integrate new aircraft types, and do it in conditions that would ground most airfields ashore. That living organism reaches below the deck, too, into the shops that fix radar sets between sorties, the magazines that move ordnance to elevators on cue, the kitchens that feed a floating city, and the medical teams that patch broken humans and keep small problems from becoming ship stoppers. It's all part of one system, and it gets good only with time. Launch and recovery is an art, not just a mechanism. Launching a jet is the easy part to describe and the hard part to perfect. Whether pushed by steam or electromagnetic force, the catapult must deliver repeatable performance in heat, cold, spray, and crosswind. The real art is recovering aircraft at night, in weather, with a pitching deck, bringing pilots back when the last fuel calculations get tight and the horizon has disappeared. Landing signal officers, arresting gear teams, and the air boss in the tower work from a common language that has been refined over decades of close calls and debriefs. China will learn this too. It has to. But you can't speed read night traps in rough seas. The only way to be good at this is to have done it for years, under pressure, with consequences. Air wings. Built for real wars, not parades. A carrier's air wing is not a collection of aircraft. It is a team with a daily playbook. The U.S. Navy built that playbook in real combat, coordinating strike fighters, electronic warfare aircraft, helicopters, and airborne early warning planes that extend the ship's eyes far beyond the horizon. The Seams, who checks the weather at first light, who owns tanking priorities at noon, who calls the rules when things break, have been tested against an enemy's will, not just a training syllabus. When an air wing joins a carrier that already knows how to launch and recover at tempo, the two fuse into something larger than either alone. That fusion is not automatic. It took America decades to get right. Sustainment. And the global yardage. Markers operating carriers well is a logistics sport. The United States learned how to keep a strike group fed, fueled, and armed an ocean away from home for months at a time. Replenishment ships rendezvous in blue water and pass pallets by helicopter and fuel by hose, while both hulls move through swells. An awkward, dangerous ballet that looks easy only because it has been practiced thousands of times. It is not glamorous to talk about spare parts databases, underway replenishment schedules, or the art of fixing a jet with what you have instead of what you want. But these are the yardage markers of a winning season. They are not quick to build, and they collapse without discipline. The weather doesn't care about national pride. A carrier commander's most ruthless adversary is sometimes the atmosphere. Sea states climb, decks pitch, visibility collapses, crosswinds swing from nothing to nasty in a minute, and the schedule, carefully planned on paper, becomes guesswork. The U.S. Navy's bench of officers has lived through enough of those days to recognize when to push and when to pause. They have rules of thumb earned the hard way: how many traps to accept when the deck is moving, how to mix launches to keep gas in the pattern, how to reroute, hold, or divert without losing the whole plan. China will collect these scars with time. Until then, the weather will teach lessons no simulator can. Combat proven. Command and control. A carrier strike group operates in a thicket of radios, data links, and authorities. Who clears a target? Who holds fires? Who protects the tankers? Who has the last veto when a contact looks ambiguous? The United States did not write its answers in a conference room. It wrote them under the pressure of real-time decisions in the Gulf, the Balkans, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and beyond. When timelines compress and politics intrude, that lived experience is a defense against confusion. The tactics, techniques, and procedures evolve every year. The foundation, the habit of deciding under stress and living with the decision, comes from doing the job when it mattered, not just practicing for the day it might. The human factor: culture, reps, and trust. What most outsiders miss is that carrier excellence is cultural, not just technical. It's the expectation that a junior petty officer can stop a launch when something looks wrong and will be praised, not punished, if that call saves a life. It's the shared memory of names on plaques and the knowledge that the safety rules are written in blood. It's the humble insistence on debriefs, where rank matters less than facts, because next week the sea will test you again. That kind of culture is not propaganda. It is the residue of repetition in a community that knows the ocean never gives extra credit. What China is getting right, and why it still takes time. China deserves credit for committing to carrier aviation at all. It is investing in catapult-equipped decks, expanding pilot training pipelines, and working through the unglamorous realities of maintenance and safety. It is experimenting with deck layouts, aircraft mixes, and new launch systems. Ambition is not the problem. Time is. Carrier aviation is an apprentice craft. You cannot mint landing signal officers or arresting gear chiefs from a slide deck. You grow them through seasons on the water. You cannot validate a doctrine with one pretty exercise. You test it against exhaustion, friction, and those days when 5 small things break at once. China will arrive at competence. It will not arrive at experience without living the calendar. Integration. Across the fleet, the real American multiplier. The carrier is the center of a strike group, but the group is more than escorts. It is submarines that reach ahead to scout and strike. It is destroyers that guard with anti-air and anti-missile weapons. It is logistics ships that keep the whole formation on the water. It is the tie-in with the Air Force, Marines, and allies who bring patrol aircraft, tankers, and land-based fighters into the same picture. The United States built that integration over decades of joint exercises and real missions. Radios, procedures, trust. None of it is plug and play. If a carrier is a quarterback, the American advantage is not only a good quarterback, it is a team that knows the playbook by heart. Guarding against the only real threat, complacency. All of this hard-won expertise can be wasted if it breeds arrogance. The right response to China's rise is not to sneer. It is to sprint, to keep flight deck standards high, to invest in the mundane things that make tempo sustainable, to fix what breaks in our own house before a crisis exposes it. The next war will not look like the last. Drones will crowd the sky. Long-range missiles will hunt logistics ships. Cyber disruptions will show up at the worst possible moment. Experience is an advantage only if it is paired with humility and constant learning. America's carrier community knows this. That is why the best crews debrief harder after victories than defeats. U.S. Navy aircraft carrier. Experience matters. China. Take note. Aircraft carriers are not icons. They are instruments. Anyone with money and political will can build one. Very few nations can operate one well in all weather, far from home for months, and do it under the moral weight of combat. That is the US Navy's real advantage over a rapidly growing Chinese fleet. It is not a boast, it is a responsibility, earned by people whose names most of us will never know, who learned the hard part so that, when the call comes, the ship and the air wing do what they have always done. China can catch up in tonnage. Experience will take longer. That gap matters. And if the United States protects it by training hard, maintaining standards, and staying honest about what needs fixing, it will matter most on the day when nothing else does. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on the latest in military technology.